Yes, hello everybody. Welcome. It is Thursday. It is 9, so it's UK Cowboys time. How are we doing, guys?
Not too bad, not too bad.
A bit Christmas way, but yeah.
Yeah, how was everybody's Christmas? And how was everyone's Christmas at home? Let us know.
It's nothing special. I'll be honest, I sound like a pure Grinch, but nothing special. It's just chilled.
Okay.
I know. I sound pure down about it, but
That's all right. It's because we get your reasons why. Because your old pal gave you a headbutt and gave you a shiner.
Yeah, so, in case anyone was wondering where the black eyes came from, it came from my dog from a couple of nights ago on Boxing Day. Ironically, Boxing Day.
Yeah.
So
just a shame he wasn't a boxer dog.
I know. That's got all the puns born for that.
Yeah, exactamundo. But we hope everyone had a good one, and obviously whatever you get up to for your New Year's.
Austin, I am happy. I'm just tired. I'm just tired, man. So it's good to see you back, my man. Good to see you back.
Yes, and of course it is season 3, episode 33, 163 in total. The pre-game show for this weekend's game, which is against Arizona Cardinals. Cowboys are already in the playoffs. So are the Cardinals, although they lost on the weekend. They had a few other things fall their way, basically. So it means that they are officially in the playoffs. So 2 playoff teams, but still lots to play for. For you guys, though, I'll just get, before we move to the news and updates, just your thoughts on feelings. And I'll start with you, Lorne, on what you think about this game. How are you feeling about it?
I think this is, I mean, obviously the Sky Sports have picked it up for this weekend's 9 o'clock game. I think it's got quite a big bearing on how the playoffs lay out. You know, obviously Cardinals need to win to keep pace with the Rams for the division. The Rams are above them at the moment on the back of the fact that their Cardinals are on a bit of a slide at the moment.
Correct.
We're obviously looking still for the number 1 seed. Obviously, we need the Green Bay to lose either of the next 2 games against the Vikings or the Lions. It's probably more likely to be the Vikings, but you know the Lions have had a couple of big scalps this year, I think. So you never know.
They've had a couple of cheeky ones they weren't supposed to win.
Yep. I mean, they should really have been 16 and 1 this year, to be honest. So they pulled a few surprises out, but and I mean, obviously, you know, as far as we're concerned, we've got the division tied up. You know, it is just the number 1 seeding that we're looking for now. So yeah.
Really, it's trying to get to that ever elusive week 1 bye, which is massive. But the way it all works out now, only the first. It used to be the first 2 teams. Now it's only the top team. But come to you, Jamie, the Godfather. What's your thoughts? What's your feelings on this week's game?
Jamie, are you there?
It's definitely the toughest test of the season, isn't it? If you look at the stats of the Cardinals, they're just on the border of 10, or they're inside the top 10 for everything.
Yeah.
So, let's see how our number 1 offense can do against a top-ranked defense.
Well, here's an interesting fact that if you look at all the major statistical stats, if you like, for the Cowboys while playing at AT&T, they're literally first in the NFL when it comes to yards per game, points per game, third down efficiency, red zone efficiency. They're literally first. It seems to be when they're on the road, it goes the other way. So it is pretty crazy. But Paul, your thoughts on the game, and then we'll get into the news and updates.
Sorry, we're just talking about. Sorry, my memory's pure blank now. So we're talking about the division, right? Like
This weekend's game. Just what's your general thought on this weekend's game?
Personally, I'm a wee bit skeptical, if I'm being perfectly honest. Because Kyler Murray's kind of going through that little slump right now, where that was going. I just hope it is not going to be where he's going to come out guns blazing and he's going to put like 40 points on us. That's what I'm scared of. But
well, you know me, how I like to dig for stats. I've been digging, so don't panic. I've got you covered.
Right.
Yeah. When we get to the Cowboys defense, remind me, and we'll shake that monkey tree and we'll get those stats to fall. Should we get into the? Oh, go on, Paul.
Well, before you jump into the news, just a wee quick question. I brought up a wee bit earlier from Paul Woodward. Thanks for the question. Hey guys, biggest question of the week: can our boy Trayvon Diggs catch the NFL Hall of Famer for the most interceptions in a season?
It would say so. Statistically, 1 interception per game.
Yeah,
he's got 2 games left. He needs to get 3 to tie, and 4 to get the record. So 14's. And that's Dick Knight train line from about 1950. So it's amazing. And
that was less games too.
That was 12 game season. So I mean that was over an interception on average per game. So that's incredible. So it's definitely doable. But I mean, especially if we could play Taylor Heineke every week.
Yeah, that always helps. But what is interesting is, although we have gone on to a nice run of games, conversely, Arizona's flipped the other way, and they're on a bit of a losing streak.
Yeah, they've been going downhill since they lost Deandre Hopkins. So
yeah, and very, very funny you bring that up, because that is where, in terms of Kyler Murray's statistics, you can see a huge difference, which we'll look at when we get to the defense. But let's move to the news and updates, and we can crack on with the show. All right, then, guys. First thing coming out of the gate, I thought we'd touch is a bit of non-Cowboys news. Obviously, John Madden, at the age of 85, passed away. I think anybody who is a fan of the game, definitely, you've got to say he was one of the most influential figures in NFL history.
Absolutely. The fact they made a video game under his name says it all. And it's been going like that since 1994?
Maybe before that.
I think that's before. I seem to remember playing it in college or uni at 93. So,
it was definitely early 90s at least anyway. So, but yeah, it's just for all those years, like that's over 25 years at least.
I can even remember when he announced that he was no longer going to be broadcast, and I was gutted. I was like, "Oh man," because it's the voice. Everyone always knows John Madden with the whole circling and arrows all over the screen, and by the time you're looking at it, you're like, "What the hell?" But it was just his enthusiasm and his love for the game that's what you're seeing on there, and it's all the little moments as well with him, where you just have these random moments where he's not even talking about the game, just something that's happening over there, something completely random. And he's even circling the screen and arrows on just these random events that are happening, because he knows that was his niche, his style. And like I say, as fans, nothing was more influential, I think.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact he was multi-generational. If your if your grandfather, was watching the game, he would know him as a coach who, has the highest win percentage of any coach that's coached over 100 games. I think he's 75% or something like that. then it's certainly when I got into the game again, sort of properly, when it came out on Channel 4, it was Madden on
Now we're talking.
Yeah. That's the
all
one.
that sort of thing. And then, it then progressed to bringing in the Madden videos as well. I mean, I think one of the first VHS tapes that I got was John Madden on American football as well, and that taught you, from that 1 hour video, and it's all talking about how he liked to coach the thing and what you look for and everything like that. That was just an eye opener in terms of the education that you got from it as well. Where do you look for on the opening play? Where do you look at, and what he would say is the triangle between the two guards and the halfback, and that tells you where the ball's going. So little things like that I learned from him.
Yeah. If there's one thing, like I don't know if this might be true, but I'm pretty sure John Madden was the actual first person that gave the moniker of the Great Wall of Dallas to our O-line back in the 90s.
You might have done. You very well might have done.
I'm pretty sure he was the guy, like, because it was all because of Nate Newton and like so Stepnowski and that. It's like he just said it during the commentary, and Jerry just kind of ran with that. The Great Wall of Dallas.
I can remember Madden commenting on Nate Newton.
Yeah,
so he loved Nate Newton. He loved him, man.
I think one of the surprising things out of it all is all reading through some of the stats. I don't think it was one of the first games that were made that it was actually one of his old playbooks as well. It wasn't like where you just go in there and you think surely all these plays are just kind of made up, and now you just like give him one of his playbook. But yeah, I think it as well. The games like it said it had to be 11-11. It couldn't be kind of very unrealistic. It needed to help fans understand the game more. And
Jimmy, keep cutting out.
I'm sure not. I'm speaking obviously because when this.
Yeah, sorry everyone.
I'm having problems with internet tonight. Just how revolutionary.
You are a little. Yeah, you keep cutting out. Jamie, you're in and out. But we got what you were saying. But yeah, for us, especially in the UK, where you get depleted NFL news and coverage, anything you could grab your hands on, especially back in the 90s, was massive. And so John Madden, like I say, extremely. I mean, this is how influential he is, that I got mates who don't watch American football, and they were messaging me going, "Oh, I've seen the news about John Madden," and so even people who don't even follow football know they know who he was and how important he was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure like Madden must have some influence to start up the whole NFL Europe way back in the 90s as well, like because he brought so much knowledge of the game of football from different parts of the world, and I think and it kind of like goes back to what DG Dog's saying, how broad the fans and knowledge of football. So I tend to agree with that. Like,
agree.
He may have had that influence,
One of my friends on Facebook that I knew from the Claymores days, he was in a group called the Fun Bunch, which early Claymores days. Was they used to do a bit of dancing in kilts and stuff like that, and apparently Madden didn't necessarily have anything to do with NFL Europe or World League, except he was once shown footage of the Fun Bunch dancing, and he says, "Christ, do the Scots not have cheerleaders at all?" Here was a bunch of hairy guys in kilts, where doing a bit of dancing to mud and various other heavy metal songs and what have you. That was the sort of thing as well. I'm sure he made comments about me as well when we were there as the Lardy Boys, and we used to go to the games with the letters painted across our chests and all that. So.
And that's the funny thing with Madden is he would see these random events and things and crowd moments, and that's how much he loved American football, that he knew that all right, the action is where is on the field, but the passion is in the crowd. He would point that out regularly. But anyway, on our news and updates, that's our little piece from over here in the UK to John Madden, and to let him know we will always be thinking of him. So needless to say, I think that goes for every NFL fan. Moving on, though, to more Dallas surrounded news. Dak won Offensive Player of the Week last week. I mean, throwing 4 touchdowns and a half will help. Also, Micah Parsons, Defensive Player of the Month. Think that was going to be pretty obvious as well.
Second consecutive month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After a wee follow up to that, Paul sent us an wee question: is Micah Parsons going to be the NFL Rookie of the Year? It is most certain. I think it's not as
he's got the rookie in the bag. It's whether he can get to now Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, rookie.
I think there's a slight problem. I think there's a slight problem with that, and that's one Trayvon Diggs.
Is what everyone keeps forgetting. I have mentioned this. What if you said Defensive Player of the Year goes Defensive Rookie of the Year Micah Parsons, Defensive Player of the Year Trayvon Diggs? Not many people are talking about it, and it's like you do realize what Trayvon Diggs is accomplishing here. I'm totally with you, Lorne. In other news that is quite important, trying to get some more information on this. Could be totally nothing, but DeMarcus Lawrence was limited in practice. We'll wait to see what the news is. We'll post it up when we get it. But in other major news, Dan Quinn and Kellen Moore being offered interviews for the Jags. So far, Dan Quinn has already officially come out and declined.
Yep, that's great news.
Well, he's not properly declined. He's just said that he doesn't want to deal with it until after the Cowboys season is over, which I suppose Jacksonville probably want to have everything in place so that they can go to the Senior Bowl and start getting into their collegiate scouting properly.
Exactly. I mean, they want to try and get that hammered in as early as possible.
See, I can agree with I agree with Brian's comment in regards to Defensive Player of the Year. It's either going to be TJ or Micah, or you could throw Myles Garrett's name into the equation. It's day 3, but unless Trayvon Diggs gets the record, he will get Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, if he at least matches the record, then yeah. I'm with you there. But in good news, all the active players on the roster, obviously apart from D-Lord, they were all on the practice field. That was yesterday and tonight, or today, whichever way you look at it. I'm saying tonight because it is tonight. So that is good news. Tony Pollard, which is a bit of the news, he had 15 minutes off to the side working on cords, rehabbing the foot. Then he was back in the main action, so that's good news. Tyron Smith at practice, individual drills, and he's done some team drills as well now. Good news. So there's that. Malik Hooker, Tristan Hill, both activated off COVID reserve, so they can now practice and talk to the media as well. Running back Jaquan Hardy, we all remember.
Oh yeah,
from yeah. Bit of a fan favorite, Jaquan Hardy and Brandon Smith, both in practice after being restored from the whole weird practice squad COVID reserve system that goes on. Rookie wide receiver Simi Fehoko, he remains on the COVID list. Noah Brown was seen at practicing, so he's been removed and he's designated to return with the 21 days and all the rest of it. That's also true for wide receiver TJ Vasher and Josh Ball. They've both been activated for this the 21 day that we know about. The only other thing to be added is a new linebacker, Devontae Bond. He has played with the Bucks and the Chicago Bears as well. Wow, I'm amazed I remembered that. He's wearing number 51.
Yeah, he's been signed because Francis Bernard has gone onto the COVID list. He was put on the COVID list on Monday morning after the Washington football game. Oh, Mike, you frozen?
Oh, Mike's frozen as well. Man, we've got a lot of
There we
technical
go.
difficulties. Oh, there we go. You there? I do apologise, everyone. We seem to be having a lot of technical issues tonight.
It's only Scotland bringing it up again.
I know. Scottish Wi-Fi for the win. Scottish Wi-Fi for the win.
I do apologise. You know, you can practice everything. You can get everything perfectly into place, but you can't predict bandwidth. And round here, it goes up and down like a yo-yo. So that is...
yeah, that as well. Justin Hamilton was poached.
Yeah, yes, yeah, which they are allowed to while they're on the practice squad. So yeah, go on. Sorry, Paul, hit me.
I was going to say that was a bit of a hit, because whenever Hamilton has actually been in the 53-man squad and he's on the field, he's actually made a positive impact. I can't, particularly the Vikings game, where he was purely brought in for that game because he knew how to play in that specific gap and go against what's his name? Garrett Bowles, the center.
I know where you're going. Yeah.
So
I think surprisingly, the one game that he actually had a stinker on was actually against Denver. So,
yeah,
and then pretty much the whole defense had a stinker that game, or the whole team had a stinker that game. But
yeah. All right then. That is the news and updates for now. Keep up with our social media as well as we drop more news as things develop up until Sunday. But should we get on to the Cowboys offense? Cowboys offense versus the Cardinals defense. Let's strike this and get into it all. All righty. So it's more like the rain than the sheep that are chewing through cables. But yes, guys, all right. I think, is it fair to say after last week's game, the offense are getting steadily back on track?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not calling myself Mystic Mac here, but I did kind of predict that the second Washington game we would actually come out guns blazing. And that was before the pregame, before the first Washington game. So, but I think this is probably going to be the toughest game of all season. Like we did say that about the Patriots game, but I think this one's going to be the toughest one for Dak, for sure.
Yeah, I think obviously Zeke looks close to 100%. I mean,
he has commented.
Surprisingly, he only had 37 yards.
37 yards, yeah.
In the Washington game, but I mean that touched the touchdown run that he scored, getting to the outside, and getting into the end zone. I mean that showed his burst was back, and then again with the pass as well that he caught out of the backfield. I thought that was vintage Zeke as well. Stayed in for pass blocking, snuck out through the line, and was wide open, and there was no stopping him. And Pollard looks to be back to full health as well. Obviously, he's getting it. Yeah, he's getting there, but he was running with burst as well. So that helps if we can. And the line's been a bit resurgent recently. With Connor Williams back in as well, and touchwood, Connor Williams has not drawn yellow flags from the referees since he's come back in. So.
Because here's what interests me about all of this is that we're getting Tyrone Smith back, and I think is at a perfect time. Chandler Jones, who comes from an extremely athletic Jones family that have Super Bowl wins and UFC belts and all the rest of it, which is absolutely crazy. When you look at that family, they're a family of athletes. Jones really is the primary go-getter for the quarterback. And if he's lining up over on the left against Tyron Smith, pretty much you can cancel that out, which I think is good news. The other thing that is interesting that's come out only just recently is Deandre Thompson. We all know him. and Buda Baker are both at the moment limited and doubtful to play this weekend. The other one that's interesting as well is one of their cornerbacks, Marco Wilson. He now has come out with COVID, so he's going to miss the game. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and looking at the injury report for yesterday, I mean, they had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They had 10 players who did not participate, and 3 others that were limited participation. So
yes,
the
only one that's come out from yesterday that's changed today is Rondale Moore. Does look like he's going to play.
Yeah.
He was limited and questionable and all the rest of it, but now it looks like he is going to play. But here's what is interesting. That is really interesting. If they are going to be struggling with their safeties and a corner, is that the Cardinals are a cover 3 defense. Going through some statistics, cover 3 seems to be Dak's speciality. He is absolutely against cover 3. He can be hot and cold, but recently in the last few games, and even during his slump, he's been good versus the cover 3 defense. I'm trying to get some statistics for you on this, that over the last 2 weeks, and this is only versus cover 3, he's completed 22 of 26 passes. That's 85% completion for 212 yards. Obviously, having Amari Cooper back was a big proponent towards that. Same with Cedric Wilson as well. But overall, versus cover 3, Dak has a 99.6 passer rating.
Yep, take that.
And and the cover 3 is Arizona Cardinals bread and butter. It's their meat and potatoes of their defense. They're going to be missing 2 safeties in a corner, and Chandler Jones, who's trying to create that pressure against Tyron Smith, eliminates it. Really, now what you're looking at is what can the linebackers do? Can you get Hicks and Isaiah Simmons working towards that? I don't know what you guys think, but to me, because a lot of their defensive stats they are good. They are pretty good. But that was at the start of the season when they were 7-0. Now, when you look at it and it goes backwards, it all starts reeling back. And I'll try and get Isaiah Simmons' stats up, because this was a guy I think all of us were saying the Cowboys needed to go out. I mean, he does create some pressure. There's some missed tackles thrown in, 9 missed tackles on the season. But he's up to 69 total tackles on the year. And he is, because he is athletic and speedy and fast. So there is that to it. In coverage, he's got 1 interception. That was the start of the year. But when you look at most of the defensive players' stats, you look at the start of the season and you go, oh, wow. And then you look at the other half of the season and you go, well, where's it all dropped off? And a lot of it, I think, is because they had Kyler Murray playing at a high level pre-injury.
Yeah.
You've got Hopkins out there playing just like as the phenomenal wide receiver that he is. That all goes away. Now the defense is going to have to do some more work.
Yeah.
Rather than... Go on.
Yeah, they were giving up, first 7 games of the season, they've been giving up 16 points a game. So the latter half, probably around the time where Connor was going down with injury or fighting through an injury, you had Kyler Murray was in and out of the lineup as well. And, there was little niggles to Deandre Hopkins. That meant the offense wasn't as effective, so the defense was out there longer, and they were giving up. That's now gone out to 24 points a game they're giving up. So, and conversely, if you look at the way we're playing, our defense started off giving up a lot of points, and the last couple of weeks it's been low teens that it's been given up, if anything. So, this looks to be a complete reversal of everything. So,
And here's a good point that Joe is making here, is about the running quarterback. The good thing is yeah, Kyler Murray is, and like even in college, I mean, he was at Texas A&M, which is crazy to say, but so even knowing him back then, I mean, this guy is an athletic monster. I mean, it's crazy what he can do. But the good news is we've dealt with Jalen Hurts, Tristan Hill, Taysom Hill. So this is a team that has gotten used to the athletic and mobile quarterbacks, and they've had plenty of practice in it. But I don't know. How would you see this defense operate? Are you using Micah Parsons to get to him, Paul? Which way round would you be doing this?
Absolutely. Like, just need to make sure that whatever the weak side is, that's the more likely place where Kyler Murray's going to break out. Right. So I think that's going to be like whatever the strong side is going to be. We're just going to have to make sure we keep that contained and make sure that if he does pull out like bootleg or whatever, not Parsons is there to fucking smash him. So
yeah, I think you need to be very disciplined in your pass rush as well. That you all go to various levels, so that on one side, if the defensive end goes to a sort of 5 yard, 7 yard drop, the other side is only going to the other side's defensive end is only going to a 3 yard drop, because where you need to actually attack, and this is probably where our strength is as well, especially when you've seen that we're bringing DeMarcus Lawrence in from a three technique tackle a lot of the time now, rushing from there. Kyler Murray is going to start panic. He's not too worried about what the ends are doing. It's more the tackles up the middle. That's when he gets antsy and gets out of the pocket. So get the pressure up front. The two defensive ends, if one goes high, one goes low, that forces him to think. And then on the side that the guy goes high, that's where you need to have your sort of spy cheating towards, because that's probably the side that he's going to try and escape from the pocket on. And we just basically need to harass him, but not do anything where we're going zero blitz or anything like that.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that side of it on the defense. What is interesting, I think, that was quite notable from last week that will translate this week is, one is Amari Cooper, and two is this defense really struggles. If you go back and look and just watch a tape, you don't even need to go through statistically, just watch it. A lot of what they give up is from the slot. Their defensive work from the slot, it's bad. They give up a lot of pressure over there. A lot of pressure. They give up a lot of receptions from the slot, and you'll see it week in, week out. And I think, obviously, Michael Gallup's going to get his. You're going to get Cedric Wilson, and something that we need to add as well is the rise of Malik Turner.
Yeah.
He's turning it on. I mean, when they started switching the players out, they needed a wide receiver to take the reins and keep up the pressure on the offense, and Turner was there. And that run that he made, the open play and the angles he was taking to get downfield, that's some next level wide receiver work. That is playmaker material that you're watching, and he was doing it. And I think you could see a battle here between him and Cedric Wilson to try and get the ball. Who's going to get put into it? But mostly, I think this is a game for CeeDee Lamb, playing him from the slot. Amari Cooper, depending on what goes on with the cornerback situation, could have a nice matchup as well. But it's certainly, regardless, it's one for CeeDee Lamb. This is a game where CeeDee Lamb could very easily go over 100 yards.
Yeah. I think both CeeDee Lamb and I think Dalton Schultz as well should be a good option. And I mean, Dalton Schultz it's no coincidence the sort of rise in the offense has been probably predicated by, the return to form of him as well. I mean, he's in the last couple of weeks, he's caught basically everything that's come his way. And again, he's back to being elusive as well when he does catch it. So he's getting the runs after the catch as well. So
yeah, his yak is insane. I think he may be in tight ends. I think he's third in yak yards, which is crazy to say. It's when you think he didn't even make the Pro Bowl. When you look at him and you go through the statistics, especially in the NFC, Schultz is right up there. I think far superior in what some of the others that have gone in are. But I definitely think as well the 12-man formation will definitely come into play. Will you use over there? I don't know. Maybe Sprinkle, perhaps.
Possibly. We've used them. You've used them a couple of times.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to catch many balls with him, but you really, the idea of the 12-man formation isn't really for that, is it? It's more misdirection. So I think the 12-man formation, and even if you want to go 3 wide receiver set, either way is a good way to go, because you're just going to really what you're trying to do. I agree with you, Lorne, is trying to attack that slot position, which is where they're most soft. But apart from that, the only other thing I wanted to add was about the running game. That Zeke isn't getting these huge yards. He's not getting massive breaks. But here is what is important with Zeke. Is he's getting first downs. And that, to me, is far more important. If you can get Zeke to get first downs, which is what you want really from your running back, that's far more important. Okay, maybe it's not as important as getting yards, because yards will accumulate first downs anyway. But he's getting them. When we're in that second and short, or third and short, he's rumbling over and he's getting you the first down and sustaining drives. Go on, Paul.
Yeah, like my whole problem with, I'm gonna have a wee go at some fans out there within Cowboys Nation. They're thinking too much. Oh, Zeke's getting paid all this money. He should be getting 100 yards per game. It's like, yes and no, but there's more to that in terms of what a running back does. There's the pass protection. It's like, and you just made the most important point. As long as he gets the first downs, that's what important thing. Is keeping possession of the ball. If we can keep possession of the ball and keep their offense off the field, that's when we win games. So I don't see why people are complaining. But that game against Washington, I thought was effective, even though we mentioned, what was it, 37 yards? I mean, it didn't feel like it was 37 yards. It did feel like it was a lot more. But when people started reading, I was like, what? You only got 37 yards? Oh, you should have got a lot more than that. That's drop Zeke. I was like, what? No.
It don't work that way.
It doesn't work like that. So.
Well, he only had to play 2.5 quarters. He didn't
exactly what I was just about to say.
That's that. Like, people are forgetting. It's like we didn't need him for the second half. Pretty much just we completely destroyed Washington by then.
Yeah, and a lot of what they were doing. Bear in mind, don't forget, Zeke got 2 touchdowns last week. One on the ground, one through the air. Right, so okay.
And people are forgetting about his receiving yards as well. That's another thing. They're just thinking too much about the rushing yards.
Yeah, they're saying that a guy with that much money should be top. But again, if you go back and you look at running backs in the NFC and you look at the yards, I think he's second.
Well, I'm going to bring this comment up, and DJ Dog is.
In fact, I'm going to check it.
DJ Dog just nailed this comment here. Zeke has sacrificed his personal stats to play through an injury and help his team. That's what it's all about.
Very true.
That is absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on.
And the big thing as well is have a look at the defense. And we've mentioned this season. Look at the way the defense lines up and attacks when Zeke is in comparison to when Tony's in. Everything looks, feels, and sounds different when Zeke is in there and he has the ball. Everything changes.
Yep. They start cheating safeties up towards the line, make it an 8-man box. and that then plays into the passing game's hands, because if the safety's up near the line of scrimmage, you're leaving a sector of the field wide open. You know, he's got to then retreat if it is a pass play and you can hit the ball deep.
There you go. And just to go back to what I was saying, yes, I was correct. Zeke is second amongst running backs in the NFC. He's the second running back in total yards. And his average amongst the top 10 is there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 players with a lower average yard per run. So his average per attempt is even less. So it is, you know, people can argue it, and you can turn around and you can say he's the second running back in the NFC. In the top 10, there are 4 players, with less average yards per carry than him. There you go. But the most important one are the first downs. As long as he's getting them, which he's pretty much, apart from Jonathan Taylor, but that guy is just having a crazy year.
Yeah, an unexpected year, to be fair.
Yeah, and here's another one. Another big one that people were complaining about last year. The fumbles. He's only fumbled once.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's what I'm going to leave it with there, you know. I'm
just going to say 2020 was definitely an off year for everyone. I will say that.
Agree.
Yeah. Offense, defense,
even for us.
Yeah.
There were some tough shows last year, but I mean, the only other point I want to make was as well, Lyle Collins as well in run blocking is actually second. Zach Martin was 4th and Tyron Smith was 9th in run block efficiency. So there's a hell of an O-line going on there, you know, that they've got, and that's going to try and be up against that D-line with Arizona. I think matches up perfectly well. But that's about as much as I've got to say on the offense, unless you guys have got anything more, and we can move to the fun stuff on defense.
Yep. Let's go.
Yeah, should we hit it? All right, let's go for it. All righty. So, Cowboys, 33 turnovers on the year. That ranks first in the NFL.
And rightly so.
It is so nice. It is so nice to see.
I feel like after what I was just kind of mentioning just before we went into the segment, like 2020 was probably one of the worst years I could ever think of about having the defense. The only saving grace of last year was Trevon Diggs. Like he was the only player I thought really stood out for us. But since we've got Dan Quinn in, Adam Durd, which I gave a big, massive shout out in the post-game show, because he's completely changed the attitude of our defensive line unit for sure as well.
Yeah. I mean, with Durd, just wait. Is all I'm going to say on that one. Trying to have a conversation with him before the season's up. Yeah. We're trying. But yeah, here's one for you though. Is it that the players have gotten better from last year and all the rest of it, or is it down to coaching, or a little bit of both?
I think it's a multitude of things. I think certainly the coaching has been more streamlined. I mean, there was a discussion on one of the podcasts yesterday about how, you know, Mike McCarthy, obviously they're going through the same sort of virtual training at the moment in terms of their team meetings. They're in meetings 90 minutes less per week at the moment than they were at the start of the season. But you know, if anything, the defense is getting stronger now. Obviously, as the season goes on, you've put more and more of your defense in or your playbooks in. So it's a lot easier just to go back and say, right, okay, this play we're going to be using these plays this week, and go through the plays and make sure everybody's on the same page with them. And just I think the way they've learned from the mistakes of last season. Now, yes, I think there has been progression with some of the players, and I think last year lit a fire under a lot of players, and they said we don't want to come out and be as bad as we were last season,
embarrassed and all the rest of it.
Yeah. So there was personal pride, if nothing else, and then there's been addition by subtraction, getting rid of guys like Jalen Smith, and you're taking away somebody who supposedly garnered a lot of game time because of what he'd done in previous years, but sadly wasn't showing the same sort of progression that he'd been putting up the last couple of years. Taking that, by having him on the field, he's what you would call a progress stopper, where taking him off the field, getting him off the team, and you've got guys that are coming through and willing to show that they've got the right stuff for this defense.
Big one, though, of course, is for the first time in NFL history, there is a team that has a player with more than 10 sacks and more than 10 interceptions. Posted that up today.
Yeah, so that Parsons and Diggs,
yeah, both on it. I find that remarkable, man, that hasn't happened before.
Yeah, I mean, when you look down all the list of players down the line of history within the NFL, I'm quite surprised that's not been the case. Like, you would have thought maybe like the Seattle defense at one point would have had something like that. There's that whole defense was a complete unit. Like, they were takeaways left, right, and center. But you know what I mean. But I just want to kind of like follow up this question from Austin here. It's like, does our defense still scare anyone? I think, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like, here's one for you as well: is the Cardinals' offensive line. If you look at it, both on tape and statistically, they're bang on average. You can say what you want. They are smack bang in the middle. It's like 16th in nearly every category if you want to go down that road.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing I think we'll definitely have the advantage of is when Randy Gregory's up against them. It's the more physical factor. I don't think the Cardinals' O-line are not necessarily the most physical.
No.
Because they kind of tend to rely on the more patty-pat pass protection. So therefore, Kyler Murray can do his thing pretty much, but you don't see them do.
Austin Powers was talking in relation to us as Cowboys fans. As in they don't scare us anymore. We're happy with them.
Absolutely. I mean,
100%. No, I mean
100%. My apologies, Austin. Thanks for correcting me, though. No, I totally agree. I don't feel they scare me anymore. Like, there's no longer trash bins of defensive tackles in the team anymore.
Yeah. And I think in some respects the identity of this team has actually moved this season to
definitely
a defensive team.
Yeah,
certainly in the last month.
Yeah, and I find it like, so before the season, like there was the whole thing we were like Dan Quinn was trying to get all the personality, like, and just focus on football and
the right pieces.
And me and Brian kind of spoke about this on Tuesday. It's like, we know that D-Law is the leader of the defense. We know that, but I'd say if it wasn't for Micah Parsons, how he's mentally changed people's perceptions about being in the defensive side of the ball, I think that's made a massive contribution, because his mindset alone, like, you saw that even before we drafted him, he was like, just wants to play for us, and
he wanted to be in Dallas,
and he's not satisfied with anything. Like, he's not like doing the whole hot boys thing anymore, which at the time it was great, but it's time to get away from that stuff and just focus on football. That's it. No posing for pictures, none of that crap, nothing. Parsons is see ball, get ball, job done, and that's what we're getting, and he's influenced a lot of our players in our defense right now.
Yeah, and a lot of when we talk about the pressure, the takeaways, and all the rest of it, it's literally coming from him being just a complete nuisance over there. Do you know what I mean? And a guy that size shouldn't be able to not only run in a straight line that fast, but change direction as quick as he does too.
Yeah,
and that's where that's where all this is coming from, amalgamating from, if you like. But here's a question for you: that we saw Kelvin Joseph last week. Jordan Lewis, J. Lou, he's on the verge of coming back. Comments were made this week by Jerry Jones saying, yes, it's very possible he could play this week. But here's a question for you. Do you play Kelvin on the outside? Because he seemed to be okay. He was holding his own. And put Anthony Brown in the slot. I
find that's more of a question for you, Lauren.
Yeah, certainly I didn't see anything to say that the future's not bright with Kelvin Joseph. And I thought Anthony Brown did a good job from the slot as well last week, but that was, McLaurin is your big threat with Washington, and then, sadly, whether it's injury or, talent wise, Washington don't have that sort of talent. This year, Cardinals have still got, I think it's AJ Green.
AJ Green on the outside. So you'd have Kelvin Joseph. In one respect, you'd have Kelvin Joseph, AJ Green on the outside, Diggs covering Wesley over the other side. And so Brown would be against Christian Kirk from the slot.
Yeah.
Because Kirk is a slot receiver. So is it that way round?
I think you should. I think Joseph has certainly earned some reps this week. I mean, having J. Lou back, I mean, that does give you
it changes the dynamic
so that you can again rotate the defense so that it's not something that somebody can actually try and pick apart.
Yeah.
And Kyler Murray, if you got to remember, even though the game last season was pretty horrible for us. Kyler Murray passing the ball wasn't great. I mean, I think he only completed 9 passes, 9 of 38, I think it was, and he still threw an interception or 2 for our defense. It was just, again, it was the usual suspects that gave up the long plays last year that allowed them to run away with that game. So, but I mean, I would certainly give Joseph at least a few reps, if nothing else. He earned that out on the back of last week.
We know what AJ Green is, but we also know, there's enough there to say what he isn't. So we know that AJ Green post-injury and all the rest of it that he's had is a different AJ Green from the rookie years that we had with him.
Sorry, mate. Joe has just commented saying they've just reported Quentin Bohanna has missed his practice with illness.
All right, we will check on that one. But here's an interesting one for you. The Cowboys, 4-game winning streak. In those 4 games, and you can talk about the teams that they played and all the rest of it. They were blitzing. So they were sending 5 or more players crashing down to the quarterback. 43.6% of their snaps. That's the most in the NFL. The crazy bit is Kyler Murray does not like being blitzed, especially since his injury. Here, and this is where I was going to from the start of the show, Paul, and digging on some statistics. So versus the blitz since his injury, his yards per attempt are down to 7.1 yards per attempt for a completion percentage of 54% and a passer rating of 86.
Jeez.
And that obviously that does coincide as well. Don't forget with DeAndre Hopkins going down as well. Obviously, when Hopkins was on there, his passer rating pre-injury was insane. But it seems to be, whether it's psychological, whether it's a pain issue, whether there's a lingering issue there, he cannot escape the blitz. And as you mentioned, Lorne, his passing, it's okay. It's fine. I'm not saying he's a bad passer. He's a Heisman winner and all the rest of it. Yeah. But he does struggle on the move. And he does struggle to get those passes out. So if the Cowboys continue the trend, that this is something that perfectly plays into the Cowboys' defensive style and against the grain of what Kyler Murray likes.
Yep. And I think obviously, again, the Cardinals have had the issue with Connor and whoever, I can't remember who the other running back is, but both of them have been struggling with injury the same way that we have with Zeke and Pollard. They're coming back to form now, so
I can tell you now
that actually might help them. It might help them out, but you know, it's their passing game has certainly been affected, and it's been put on to Murray to be the work, you know, the main breadwinner for this offense. You know, and he's
James Conner's the other running back who's injured.
Yeah. So
just to throw that in for you.
So that's where they've been having the issues this year, I think. And Murray he's not buckled, but you know, certainly the pressure that he's facing with this defense or with this offense is certainly hindering his abilities. Yeah,
and what is crazy as well is his time to throw. So with the ball, 2.5 seconds really is the limit for Kyler. So if you get him moving around and he takes longer than 2.5 seconds to throw the ball, his completion percentage drops to 52%.
Yeah.
So get him moving around back there, get blitzing and forcing him to have to move around causes him to make wild throws. You know, the thing that has kept them going at the moment is Christian Kirk. Kirk from the slot has been having quite a good season. A lot of that, obviously, is just down to opportunity because DeAndre Hopkins has been out. And AJ Green, he's been okay. But, you know, he's not the AJ Green, because I mean, I loved AJ Green coming out of college, but he's not the same. He's not the same Green he once was.
Yeah, he's not the AJ Green from back in, 2017 or something like that. Like ever since then,
before that, yeah.
Before that, he was phenomenal, but after that, it's just kind of been not the same guy.
Yeah, I agree. The only other thing I wanted to add before we move to the next segment is Van Der Esch. I'm actually, because people are saying,
I'll spit.
Go for it.
I'm defending Van Der Esch. I'm actually as happy how he's playing right now.
How he's gone on, yeah.
Like he's sticking to an assignment. He's doing his job and he's making tackles. He's not making massive plays.
No.
Maybe it doesn't need to. Like he's been like, especially when it comes to run defense, he is there right in the middle of it. Like especially when it comes to the set, like if the ball's running through the middle, 100%, he's there. But like, I don't think I can recall Van Der Esch has made any mistakes at all this season.
At the start of the season, I was concerned. Certainly, the last 3 games, Van Der Esch, he's really turned it on. I mean, he's making tackles. Just going to his last 3 games alone. I mean, you can go to his last 5, but his last 3 games alone. 7 tackles, 3 assisted tackles, no missed tackles, 5 tackles for a loss.
Can I just highlight this? You just said the magic word what was the thing that we kept complaining about all of last year? Not just from defensive line, from linebackers, and from cornerbacks. Missed tackles.
Missed tackles, yeah.
Like that is going to be the biggest improvement of all in terms of the whole defensive scheme. I know I'm kind of jumped from one down to the other, but that's going to be the biggest improvement from a whole team perspective.
And against the first time when we played against Washington as well, he was targeted 3 times for 1 reception that he allowed, and it went for 3 yards, and he tackled him.
Yeah. He's certainly. I mean, I called him out after the New Orleans Saints game where he'd basically got 1 tackle and he'd whiffed on the opening drive interception. But since then he's been very sturdy. I think maybe that's the returning of Gallimore, D-Law, Randy Gregory, and just it allows him to just be
flow
to the ball, be an additional player, not have to be a superstar player, because he can rely on Parsons to do get all the pressure, and he can just sit there and control what's happening and see where the ball's going and see ball, get ball.
Yeah, because Van Der Esch isn't the type of linebacker, because he wasn't even in Boise State. He's not the type of linebacker to take blocks on. He's always looking to shed. He's always looking to try and get out of the block, shed it on. And sometimes that's not what you want if your defensive line isn't holding up its end of the bargain. And that, I think, is where he's struggling. And I agree with you, because they're doing that now. He's flowing. He's able to do what he needs to do. And you're seeing a different Van Der Esch. I'm not saying he, and I'm sure you guys are the same. I'm not saying that he's back up to, his rookie year or he's playing to a first round standard. I'm just saying that in the last month, certainly when we've gone on this winning streak, he's elevated his play from what he was before. But okay then, guys, let's get some score predictions from you all, and at home as well. Tell us what you think. Now, I think this is going to be a low-scoring game because both defenses are fairly well matched. Curse versus Ertz, that is going to be an interesting matchup. If he can contain and control, then it's going to be game over. But give me your score predictions, and then I'll give you mine. I'll start off with you, Lorne, since you're there. What's your score prediction for this week's game?
I think it's going to be, let's see, we'll go 24-17 Cowboys. I think it's going to be a one score decider. It's not going to be like we've seen the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, all right. Ours are fairly similar. I'll give you mine in a moment. But go on then, Paul. What's yours?
Lauren was actually not that far off what I was kind of predicting. I was going 20-17 for the Cowboys.
You see, we got a little mix and match with our scores here, because I'm going 27-17.
Oh, okay.
You see? But some of the guys are posting some scores in here, and they're all fairly what we're thinking.
Yeah, 26-23. I think the biggest one so far is from Joe. 35-21. I mean, it's definitely doable.
Offensive form. Do you know what I mean? It is up there.
And they were all 31-23. I mean,
DJ Dog coming in.
Yeah, I mean, every score so far that we've kind of mentioned, there's nothing been beyond 20 points gap. So it's all cross proximity. So I think we're all kind of in agreement in the same ballpark, but ideally we would love to have like a 35-21 or 31-23. We would love to have that.
But when at home, the Cowboys are first in points per game and yards, total yards in offense, it's in the stars almost that they're going to offensively really go out there. But the Arizona Cardinals, I mean, you see in some of the defensive stats scroll across the bottom, they are well balanced. A lot of it, though, as I say, is how they were playing at the start of the season because the offense was playing well. And then as you look on the reverse of what they're doing lately, it has changed because the defense has got a lot more to think about because teams are playing that way. We've got a 56-0 score, yeah. So
well, we can We could dream in that one, Joe.
Hey, I love positive mental attitude.
Never say never, though. Never say never.
I always say positive mental attitude, and you guys know that. I'm always banging that drum. So a 56 shutout, I do like that. Always good to see a donut. But should we wrap things up and hit the fantasy lounge and get this one all done with? All right, let's hit it.
Can I just start before we do anything? Like, it's like, because as some people might know, me and Mike are a part of a fantasy football league with our good friends Bluff City
over in America.
Yeah, Cowboys, y'all, J Tuck, Super Cowboy, and Flag Runner Cruise and stuff like that. So, and it's me and Brandon in the final, which is Cowboys, y'all, and needs to be I'm in the money. So I just want to say I'm happy that I'm winning some money now. So
hey, and on the other end of that, in the NFL UK Fantasy League, which is all the teams, UK Cowboys fans are in the final. They're against basically Fantasy Pros UK version, 5 Yard Rush. Good guys, by the way. Follow them. They know their fantasy stuff. It's UK Cowboys fans versus them in the final. So
yeah,
UK Cowboys waving the flag, lead the way, as we always say. What do you think your chances are in that one now?
Well, because Kyler Murray is my starting quarterback, I need to be.
I had a look.
I need to be, and I've got the Dallas Cowboys defense, so I'm mixed right now.
Who's your backup QB?
I've got two. I picked up Jake Fromm for shits and giggles, but I've also got Kirk Cousins, but he's playing against Green Bay.
Oh,
so
yeah. Well, the good news is UK Cowboys in the NFL UK League have Dak Prescott and the Cowboys defense.
There we go.
We do have Schultz as well, but Schultz is going to have to be benched.
Why?
I can't remember who the other tight end was. He's got a better matchup.
All right, okay.
Yeah. I can't remember who it is. But anyway, let's crack on with this. As well, guys, in the in the UK Cowboys Fantasy Leagues, it is the final league. So the highest score from the 3 leagues, from the Blue, Silver, and White League, whoever gets the most, with UK Cowboys.
Mate, you're kind of getting cut out.
I'm cutting out again.
Yeah, it's the Welsh
internet again.
Welsh internet strikes again. So basically, guys, he's trying to say, correct me if I'm wrong, Blue, Silver, and White. There he is. You there?
Yeah, there we go. If I'm back in, yeah. So the highest score out of those 3 leagues wins a UK Cowboys pennant. And we send that to whoever the highest score is. We'll message you and get that sent out. So it's a big one. I think the UK Cowboys are in those leagues. They're all in 3rd place. All made the playoffs, but all knocked out straight away. Hey, that's the way it goes. But anyway, let's hit the fantasy. So it's very, very simple, guys. Play along at home. It's basically over or under. We'll let these guys kick off. Dak Prescott, 18 fantasy points. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Oh. I'm gonna say over.
Yeah, boy oh boy.
Yeah, boy oh boy. Just over.
Yeah. I'll go just over as well.
All right. I like it a lot. All right then. Zeke. And bear in mind, they kept Jonathan Taylor last week. This defense kept Jonathan Taylor to just around 100 yards, which is impressive. But Zeke, 12 fantasy points.
I'm going to say, oh boy.
Okay.
The reason I'm saying
gonna-
that, I'm saying this for two reasons. Because obviously, I'm thinking about the whole yardage thing. I know he only played 1.5 of football, but I don't think he's going to be getting as much touchdowns in this game.
2
I don't think.
touchdowns. Yeah.
Yeah, but also Brandon has got Zeke. So
Selfish. Very
Yeah.
selfish of you, Paul.
Yeah.
Selfish.
yeah,
But go on, Lon.
I'm-
Hit me with yours.
I'm going to go boy oh boy on that.
I like
think,
it.
I
yeah.
think a couple of touchdowns, even if they're short yardage, that's you pretty much on the level there.
No,
I
give it to
think-
Pollard. Give it to Pollard.
I think we're seeing a return to his explosiveness as well.
He's getting there,
So-
certainly.
He's getting there, so he's whatever that knee brace is doing, it's doing a good job for him. So yeah, I'll go boy oh boy on that one.
All right, then. Amari Cooper. Another dozen. 12 fantasy points.
Boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy.
All righty.
Yeah, boy oh boy on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a Stonewaller.
Yeah. Well, the next one's even easier, I think, for me. Okay. CD Lamb. 12 fantasy points.
Boy oh boy.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah. That one's an easy one. I think for me, from the slot, I mean, he's gonna feast over there. The only thing that I'm worried about with CD Lamb is he gonna drop the passes?
Yeah, butterfingers.
That's the issue. Because not so much that is he gonna drop passes and that'll be the end of it. Because what you got to think is psychologically what that does with Dak. That he goes, he dropped that on second down. Now we're on a 3rd and 10. Yeah,
We didn't have that during the Washington game, though.
No. He seems to be getting organized with it, which is good. But I'm just saying that, we've had a history of it this season with him. So it's just something to keep an eye on that could go against him, negatively. But okay, then Kyler Murray, 18 fantasy points.
Boy, oh boy.
He's losing it. He's losing his fantasy trophy.
I'm going oh boy.
I'm boy, oh boy with Kyler.
All right, then. Chase Edmunds, who's the lead running back at the moment. Looks like he could be the only one the way he's going with all their injuries. 12 fantasy points.
I'd say that's actually quite fair. I find that's in the ballpark.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I think our defense will corral him. He's been limited the last 2 days as well. I'll stick on that one, I think.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Christian Kirk, 10 fantasy points.
From the slot as well. Ooh.
I think it depends who they play.
Yeah, it depends who he's up against.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. That is a tough one. That could, honestly, that is a 50-50. That really, it could be 7 points, 6 points, or it could be a massive 19, 21 points for him. It just really depends who he's up against. Oh, man.
I'm going to go oh boy on that one. I just have a feeling
that
both Anthony Brown and Jordan Lewis have been pretty stellar this year. I mean, obviously they've been overshadowed by Diggs.
Yeah. And that's the funny thing is Anthony Brown, if you look at it statistically, he's having a great year.
Yeah.
But like you say, he's just overshadowed by what Diggs is doing.
I mean, he had a bad start to the season.
He's had a bad few games, but show me a cornerback this season that hasn't had a bad few games or a bad snap or being beaten.
Yeah, every franchise would be moaning about something about one of the corners. I'm pretty sure Denver.
If you were a pure lockdown corner, you'd be the most expensive player in the league.
I'm pretty sure, for the example, Denver would be mourning about Surtain, about one or two plays. So yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, there's been some, Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman let a big play go. He's done it in the past.
Oh, yeah.
It happens. It happens. But yeah, I'm with you guys. The last one, Rondale Moore, because it is looking like he's going to play. So I went down and checked. 8 fantasy points for him.
Oh boy.
I have him in a keeper league.
I'm saying oh boy for that one.
Oh, he's getting even less than 8.
Yeah,
I'll
say
just so you're aware, you can go Rondale Moore or AJ Green, and both at 8 fantasy points. So basically, the same wide receiver 2 is it's 8 points.
Well, I would say AJ more and Randall less.
Yeah, I would go oh boy for Rondale Moore, and if we were doing AJ Green, I'd say boy oh boy.
Okay, there we are then. Right, well, that wraps that one up, guys. So the next time we speak to you will be in 2022, and there's still, the most random thing to say, there is still regular season games to play.
I know this is doing my head in actually.
It doesn't feel right, does
game.
it? Yeah,
Nah.
just that. Although it's only one extra game, it just like completely puts you off kilter. It just puts you off whack with everything you've ever known.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you still got the playoffs.
I think people can tell, like, even talking about the regular season still, and it's like it's starting to wear on us a little bit.
It's all fun and games. We all love it. Football is football. College is having, with its college football playoffs and bowl games, is having everything flip on them and all the rest of it. But there we go. I will be watching the college football games regardless, which should be fun. That's tomorrow. Be watching them. But yes, it is, of course, from us, the end of 2021. Have a great new year. Have a great week 17 football on Sunday. And we'll speak to you on the other side. I'm going to let these guys finish us off.
You forgot something.
All right. I wasn't going to do it, but I'll whack it in. There it is, guys. If you're going to go to a game next year, and by the way, there might be a little something news that we break in a new year.
Playoffs as well.
Playoffs, yeah. You might want to go to a playoff game. I know people who will. Book it through Cowboys Experience. They have game day tickets, tailgate pies, stadium tours, and packages for all your needs. And make sure you use the booking code UK Cowboys, because what you get, guys?
You get free stuff.
It's so simple. But have a great 2021 New Year's Eve pie, whatever you get up to. But these guys are going to finish it off, and we'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, guys, have a great Hogmanay New Year's Eve, whatever you want to call it. To stay safe, be careful with it. Hopefully, there isn't going to be this mass exodus over the border into England for the for the nightclubs. But yeah, hopefully we're back next week. We'll be talking about us being 12-4, and going up against the accursed Eagles.
That will be an interesting game.
Yep.
Yeah, guys. I don't know what else to really say, really, but go Cowboys. That's it. I'm absolutely shattered.
I like it. Good way to end. Go Cowboys.